Hello and welcome to The Green Door Life. My name is Shannon Morse, and we are doing these segments now where I have the pleasure to talk to different friends and practitioners as we're going through this crazy time in our life with everything that's happening in the world. And what's incredible about this is we really get to come together as a community, and we get to share each of our own unique gifts and how we can serve ourselves and also serve others in our community as a broader collective. So I'm super excited because today I have my friend and my business partner, Lisa Kirby. Her husband, Chandley, is our guest today. And I've known Chandley for, I don't know, like 2 years maybe now. And it's been such an awesome experience to be able to go through this business growth together, and also to look at how we are growing as individuals in our practices of healing, especially as it relates to energy. So Chandley has been going through some Reiki practices. He got certified recently, and he's also been very, very deep diving into remote emotional healing. So I'm excited to talk to you about this. So Chandley, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. What I've got going on right now is probably a little bit of what everybody's feeling out there. Yeah, lots of deep breaths and recognition that this is a very, very unique and significant time for all of us and all of us moving forward. So what I've felt stronger now more than ever has built off of really the last year in diving into remote emotional healing, as you were talking about, and starting with myself. So looking into that, began with a book and a practice called the Emotion Code. And it had been something that was kind of floating in my periphery for a while, but last year at this time of growth, spiritual growth with you and business growth, as it turned out to be, like such a strong feeling to get back into it and take that deep dive and start with myself. What I felt was a recognition of similar patterns, similar feelings and responses. And I feel like a lot of that we all carry. We dismiss it as whatever it may be, seasonal, tired, stress at work, and some of it is, but what came to me was kind of a moment of clarity in about February last year. And just recognizing some truths in my current situation and knowing that I really wanted to make some continued growth. So being able to kind of add to my tool belt or my arsenal and peel back some layers within myself and find this practice that has been eye-opening and works for me. I've slowly and kind of quietly put it out there to a few other people. We've worked with my wife, we've worked with our children. So absolutely something that you're able to do in a person-to-person physical capacity. But as this time is presenting to all of us, like we're connected, but we can't really be together. So, what challenges does that propose? Does that bring up? Thankfully, this is something that can still take effect, even remotely. So absolutely glad that I can step up and not have to quietly and candidly share this anymore, but like share this message loudly as something that is supremely impactful and hopefully beneficial to many people.
Awesome. Okay, I love this. So can you give us a little bit of an understanding for those who are watching, like what is the tenets of the emotion code? Like what exactly is the energy release that you've been experiencing and been able to do for Lisa and for your kids and for myself also? So you guys, Chandley has done this for me too, and I was like so freaking grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, in bringing it back to you, the interconnectedness of this is a recognition of really being attuned and tapped in and listening to everything, recognizing the signs and not dismissing it from yourself. So with this practice, it's understanding the frequency and vibration of all things. Thoughts certainly being at the forefront of that, and emotions being of varying frequencies. So you have your high frequency emotions, the feel good ones, love, laughter, friendship, joy, appreciation, gratitude. Those feel good, those vibrate high. Your low frequency vibrations, regret, doubt, fear, hatred, that sort of things. And what has come up through this practice is we're all given a different set of tools to express and move these emotions through us. Some better than others, some more practiced than others, some hold on to it. And I've even learned there's, a variance of that. But with these frequency, vibration, emotions, they have a tendency to be stored in the body. So if you think of muscle memory as something that a lot of people can relate to, being able to work through a certain modality of movement or feeling sore from an exercise, right? Physically, we know what that feels like. Emotionally, depending on how connected you are to it or how much you want to listen to it, those emotions have a tendency to get stored and favor organs. So what this practice is showing a connection to is a lot of chronic illness, sickness, disease, manifesting from these unprocessed, trapped emotions and the tendency that they have to go to the tissues of the organs. So what you're able to do in being open to it, there are very few barriers to actually moving through the process. I think first and foremost, you need to be open. I wouldn't even necessarily say belief, because that's too much in your head. A logical mind will kind of spin through things, but a lot of the testimonials, as written in the book, talk about people who have gone through a lifetime of doctor visits, medical professionals talking about why something isn't working or why it's coming back. And coming to this is like an option of last resort. And the process by which you're able to recognize or find these trapped emotions is muscle testing. So you're essentially having a conversation with the subconscious mind. That's why I say the belief isn't even necessary, because our conscious logical mind will spin like crazy. But when you can tap into that subconscious brain, the part that we're not actively using, you can access a wealth of information. And the muscle testing is using that energy in your body, in your muscle tissues and fibers to get the answers that you need. So essentially getting the answers from the simple questions in talking to the body, you're able to locate where these trapped emotions are. And if you need to know more about it, you can ask those questions as well. And the release process is using a magnet. I know a lot of energy workers right now are talking about energy sweeps to clear energy from your physical aura, and the use of magnets as well, of that electromagnetic energy, being able to pull those vibrations and frequencies and move them up and out.
Okay, I already have a couple questions for you after this. So this is awesome. So the first two questions that come to mind about this is, for those who have no idea what muscle testing is, I have an idea because I've been able to learn it in different phases of my life. But can you share a little bit more about muscle testing, and also what kind of magnet? So is there like a special kind of magnet? Is it a kitchen magnet?
Great questions. So muscle testing is something that I bet all of us are familiar with or have done at some point in time in our lives. I know it first came into me at like middle school on the schoolyard. If you think about, like a trust fall exercise or something that someone told you about at a sleepover where, they got some, kind of spooky or woo-woo answer, like, yep, not far-fetched at all. What you're doing is applying pressure to certain parts of the body and relying on the muscles to stay stable or go weak. Stable is going to be a truth or a yes answer. If you find weakness in the muscle, instability, a no answer. So that's connected to the vibration of that yes or of that no. Think of something being strong and stable. Yes, absolutely. And there's different ways to do the physical muscle testing. There's ways to do it on yourself as well as ways to do it on another individual. And what I've found is some ways work better for you than they would for me. And it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of practice. The first time that I was working through the different muscle testing sequences, it took me maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 times to find that spot, like to find that perfect balance when you can recognize the signs and go, whoa, that was something. Okay, let me practice a little bit more on that. A common one is like an arm straight out in front of you. So you think about the leverage here, and then 2 fingers at the wrist. This is done from a practitioner to another individual. So if I was testing you, I'd have you stand arm out, I'd put 2 fingers about your wrists, and I'd push, ask a question and then test you there. So if it was stable, we'd get a yes answer. If it was weak and would fall down, we'd get a no answer. I'm able to do it on myself using a technique with my fingers. And it's kind of that, fine-tuning feeling of knowing like the body response. You get some resistance. Sometimes you'll get someone really trying to, stay strong, and that's fine. You just have to keep testing it. And once you find that baseline, you're good. And that's when it gets really fun.
Super cool. Okay, so I've definitely done muscle testing on myself sometimes, and then have also done it with like Jeff and different people over the course of my life. And what I've noticed on occasion is that if I am not centered or grounded in my energy, that muscle testing, it just feels like so discombobulated. So any thoughts on that, or, kind of like guidelines around muscle testing, either if it's for yourself or if you're doing it for someone else as well, like where you can kind of be when you're doing that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great questions. So there are 2 immediate kind of precursors to like valid muscle testing responses. One is hydration. So you would absolutely want yourself or someone that you're practicing on to be properly hydrated. If you know that you're going to come in for a session, or if you're going to work with me, drink water beforehand, be well hydrated. The other one is, coincidentally or interestingly enough, alignment in your C-section of vertebrae. So if you were to come to me well hydrated, totally open and receptive, believing, knowing that this works, and we couldn't get an accurate muscle testing, we would, have you leave, go have a glass of water, come back, try again. But if we just couldn't get it, the recommendation is to go see a chiropractor, because anything out of alignment here is going to, understandably from the top down, create instability in the body. So I also love that connection to chiropractors being, kind of in the forefront of hands-on healers, and everything's about alignment there. So yes, hydrate and alignment. If your energy's out of alignment, for sure, I test myself regularly. If I feel I'm kind of swirling, I'll pop in and start checking for myself. And sometimes I'll get a yes answer, sometimes I'll get a no answer. And it's comforting for me to know, okay, even when I'm swirling, I can still check in and find that. And then to answer your question about the magnets, there are specialized magnets that you can purchase. There are companies, I believe there's a Japanese manufacturer that makes really high quality, powerful, preferred magnet. This is absolutely something that you can do with a refrigerator magnet. That's what I did. I looked for one of our son's toy magnet sets. I found one that I liked, and I stuck it in my bag, and it's worked well for me.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you. Yes, I was wondering about that for sure. Both of those things. It's super interesting about hydration. It's just another kind of affirmation to ourselves to stay hydrated, to just tune into our subconscious and our sensitivity, and also about the cervical vertebrae. That's fascinating. So the next question that's coming to mind is around, you and Lisa were able to do a emotional release for me remotely. So for those of you who are watching, I was experiencing this like pretty significant emotional kind of, it just felt like guck. I just was experiencing guck, and I didn't understand, I didn't know how to get through it. And it really kind of felt like I kept hitting like a wall, just like hitting a wall with whatever I was going through. And it was a lot of like anxiety and sadness. And I just felt like I couldn't get through it. And I tried to muscle test myself, and that was not happening. And so then I shared it with you and Lisa, and you guys were able to do an emotional release remotely. So can you share a little bit more about how that works?
Yes, absolutely. And so appreciative to be able to have that practice with you and for you and help you out because it was successful. From our end, being able to locate and find the answers to the questions, and hopefully on your end it was helpful to let that pass through and move past that. For a remote session, I used Lisa as a proxy. So she was my stand-in and she was Shannon Morse. What that process is, again, it helps to have a connection. So for you on the other end, knowing that I was going to check in with your subconscious, I think that helps improve the connection. It's not entirely necessarily like we didn't have you on the phone. I just needed your go-ahead. I needed your approval. That's also an ethical, practice, so that we're not jumping into people's energies or subconscious. Not that I would want to, and not that I think you'd get the response that you need, but essentially with Lisa, taking a few exercises to align with you and to bring you present into that situation. Same thing with the muscle testing, starting and asking the questions and identifying what the trapped emotion was, where it was, and when it occurred. And then to communicate that to you and have you, relate some of your feelings in what that came up or when that came up. I think the significance of where it was, in what organ, and the emotion itself, I believe I have that emotion trapped within me as well. So I can relate. But yeah, anything that you felt or wanted to share after that?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, yes, I'm kind of like thinking back about it because it was maybe like a couple weeks ago now, I think.
Right, yeah, just at the end of retrograde.
Yes. So I believe that the time frame, I think this part is really fascinating. So the time frame and the age, it was 13 to 16. It was an emotion of despair, and it was held in the spleen. Is that right? So when Lisa and Chandley communicated this to me, I was like, okay, well, yeah, my parents got divorced between 13 and 16. Like my whole world was kind of, totally turned upside down. And I moved. There wasn't a lot of communication between my parents about what was going on in their divorce. It was really like this slow, it was kind of like the coronavirus. Nobody really knows what's happening until all of a sudden you're like living a completely different life. And then you're like, oh, crap. So it was definitely very, it resonated with me. And the next day, you would share, you might have some interesting dreams. I didn't have any dreams, but I did just slowly start to feel myself lighter. I do remember kind of feeling like a little bit of an emotion come up about just almost like releasing something, but also feeling cognizant of, I will be releasing right now. So now I can, if I know that that's happening, I can just kind of allow whatever that is to come up and then just not be attached to it and just let it do its thing and just kind of witness it arising and then move on with the rest of my day and eat my sandwich and, So that was really, really, really cool. And I think right now with what people are experiencing, they're in their homes, they are isolated. Some people live by themselves, and there is this feeling of trauma that's happening in the world. And I think that for some of us, we will have a response that is almost triggering our past trauma that we have not cleared. So I think what's so amazing about this modality is that it doesn't matter where you are in your world. If you feel like something is coming up and you're just bumping up against it, there is assistance to get out of that emotion that's living in your body, because I think everyone is going to experience that stuff and they're not going to have any distractions. They're stuck at their house. So if you're watching this, this is an amazing thing that you can have done, and you don't even have to be in the room with Chandley or whoever is doing this, but Chandley in this experience, and you can have it done over the phone, which is incredible. So I freaking love it. I mean, it's so cool. It's so cool. And I can't wait for another one to be released. I was like, can we check again?
Yep. So that's a great question there, a good segue. People will ask, how many can I have? How many trapped emotions are there? When can I, release them all? Yeah, once you get the first yes answer from a muscle test, it all kind of snowballs from there, of being fun for me personally to find them within myself, tap into it, release them. Fun for me to connect with individuals and share this process and see that lightness and ease return. You can release them one right after the other if that's what your body and mind want to do. So after the magnetic releasing process, you would ask for confirmation if the trapped emotion was released. And then you can ask if there's another trapped emotion that you can release today. So being specific in that now moment. I have only personally found back-to-back once. And I've tested myself kind of ongoing since May, so coming up on a year. And it was a recognition of pure joy and exuberance, around the time of our trip last May, and then coming into similar patterns and feelings through last summer. So for those watching, Lisa and I have been sharing and communicating that life as parents of 2 young children for us isn't all that different from life as quarantine. We're here. There's not always those external distractions or places we can go. We're on call. So recognizing those emotions as they come up are super important, and then being able to more than just cope with them, remove them, process them, move them through, super helpful, so that you can feel comfortable anywhere, anytime, doing anything, starting a new project, reading a book, or laying on the floor meditating, doing nothing.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. It's such a gift to you guys. Us doing it as a family is amazing. Mm-hmm. Being able to learn to do that for your kids, it's all so good. So, okay, so that is one modality that you've just totally dove headfirst into. And then let's move into the Reiki and kind of chat a little bit about that. So what brought you into bringing that modality in, and where do you see kind of the benefit for this time in what we're all experiencing right now as well?
Awesome. So I was lucky enough to have an incredible mother who is a career nurse and had this Western medicine, kind of a traditional hospital setting, upbringing and experience, as well as an interest in worldly philosophies and other forms of healing. So it was maybe about 8 or 9 when my mom started diving into Reiki and using us as her practice. And what a treat, have mom come and put some warm healing hands on you and say, okay, I just gave you Reiki. You're super receptive to it. 9-year-old will soak that right up. So early exposure and familiarity with it, understanding some of the principles, as well as how good it feels and how powerful it is to have that energy transferred into where you need it. So it was always kind of in the back of my mind. Lisa was a driving force this year. She's like, you need to go get certified, and you need to do it, right now. Please go get that. So hearing it enough from other people over time, I've got these warm hands and familiarity from enough injury and training in my life, and massage tables and physical therapists and different forms of healing. I'm like, yep, that works for me. I like that. So feeling the push to get certified and have that be official, I think it ties in nicely with other modalities of healing, where I can work with someone and give them a Reiki session, and we can look at healing in that method, as well as have a conversation, once that relationship is established, or just identify any other needs and tap into some emotional healing as well. So very cool to play around with energy and see the connection between the two.
So cool. And so is Reiki something that you can do remotely as well?
Yes, so that's also incredibly cool and wonderful and powerful. And I have done 2 remote Reiki sessions now. After sharing with a friend of mine that I got certified, again, I was very quiet and kind of, didn't share that one, just kind of jumped into a weekend retreat and did it. But when I did share, they said, can you do a Reiki session for me? I'm like, absolutely. Again, they were aware, they were receptive to it. And I said, later this morning, I'm going to give you a Reiki session. I'll take about 30 minutes. And I would love to get some feedback from you in anything that you felt. And the experience for me of being able to do it remotely, again, use a proxy and kind of tap into that spirit consciousness, that divine consciousness, and then using your physical presence and transferring that. I picked up on a few things in doing a body scan, and then the response in my hands. You can feel pulsating sensations. You can feel varying levels of warmth around certain areas of the body. So to be able to communicate and follow up, and to use you an example, be like, Shannon, I've got a really strong response around your ears, in this part of your head up here. And that's when you'd say, yes, I've had this incredible sinus pressure and my ear was, on fire earlier today. So that's the feedback that I've experienced in being able to do a remote session, where it's just fun. It's really cool to have that presence. And for me, everything that I need to be in place and share that gift and then follow up and say, this is what I felt. Can you relate or confirm? And the incredible thing with Reiki is that it goes where it knows it needs to go. It is that spirit level consciousness, and it's our physical existence that's kind of tying the 2 together. So me acting as a channel, that's all. It's not depleting my energy. It's spirit moving through me and going where it needs to go. So Reiki, the literal translation is Rei being that spirit, and Ki being a Japanese equivalent to Chi or prana. And so that's the the crossover from other languages that I was talking about earlier.
Oh, so cool. Let me see. I was certified in Reiki when I was 20, I think. And my experience is that it felt so opening in terms of being hypersensitive to just energy all around. But I never knew about the literal, the translation. And so as you were talking, it just really makes me think about, oh, that makes so much sense. Because it's like the awareness is just expanded. And also it didn't feel depleting. It felt very like rejuvenating, So I just love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's nice to have that confirmation that was what was happening. Okay, so for people who are watching, what would you say are some things that they can kind of focus on doing now for themselves? They can do at home just to kind of calm down their energy, keep it clear, and then moving into, okay, if you guys want to work with Chandley, this is how you contact him.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I would recommend following along with your guided meditations. So I know you guys are offering that through the Green Door and in the Facebook group, I believe. So absolutely a great place to start, whether you have never meditated before or whether you're a seasoned vet. Take that opportunity to sit and check in with yourself. And from that, I would recommend, taking a mental note or recognizing any sign, experience, sensation, vision, like whatever seems to be prevalent for you, focus on that and then take it one step further. So I just read this book from Mark Lair, who's actually a Mill Valley author, and it was 7 Practices of Mindful Leadership. He talked about teaching meditation to high-level executives in the tech industry, and the question that came up often for him was these people asking, am I doing it right? Or am I meditating better than so-and-so? So we have that drive, we have that concern of, oh, nothing's coming up for me. Like, that's okay, just sit. And if it's starting there, like make a practice 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just sit and see what starts to come up. That recognition and that attunement is super helpful in opening that reception, that receptivity to any of these practices. If you feel that you're already aware of emotions or any situations and circumstances that are creating a physical emotional response, absolutely a great place to jump in and start there. I think the practice of creating a ritual, so do that meditation, create some space for yourself at home. I've got this lovely little office back here that I've got my incense and sage, and I get real rootsy and bring California to North Carolina and just have fun with it. So for me, that's a way to relax into it and further this practice. As far as setting up a session or having these experiences, call me, email me, and we can begin that conversation there.
Awesome. Okay. Very, very nice. I love it. Yeah, I've been just holding the space to provide the guided meditations in the group has been so awesome. I mean, I would normally do meditation in the morning regardless, but this really holds a different kind of space. So thank you for reminding me even to recommend. It's just like a starting place. If you're a beginner, it's just a starting place. And we will post the information about how to reach out to Chandley as well for this video. If you do want to work with him, it's been a really, really cool thing for me, especially to experience how you've kind of like maneuvered through these modalities and then done them on yourself, which I think is really the most important thing, so that you know what it feels like, and then you can really share and help to other people to identify what they might be experiencing, and that it's all okay. Like, it's all okay. It's just part of the process.
And Shannon, you know me, like my natural default is it's all good. So if I feel anything other than that, that's when I know to check in with myself. And to have that conversation, so to be able to know you and work with you and develop these practices, it's absolutely a joy of mine to share this gift and then further that experience. So totally a two-way street in being able to share that experience with you and further that practice and hopefully add some levity and joy to anyone and everyone who needs it right now.
So beautiful. Okay, thank you so much, Shanley. I really appreciate it. This was amazing, and I hope you guys who are watching learned a little something. I know I did, and I knew a little bit about it already, and then I was like, oh, this is so cool. So we so appreciate you coming on. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, any other questions, let me know, and look forward to hearing more.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.